Hi, in this short tutorial we shall discuss determinants of price elasticity of demand. Please do not mix them or confuse them with the determinants of demand or determinants of supply. Determinants of demand are different from the determinants of price elasticity of demand. This tutorial is about the determinants or factors that affect the price elasticity of demand and not the determinants of demand. There are total 5 determinants of price elasticity of demand upon which P.E.D of any product depends upon. We shall discuss those 5 factors one by one. The first determinant of price elasticity of demand is availability of close substitutes. There are some products which are having very close substitutes, for example, Pepsi. If price of Pepsi increases, demand of Pepsi will decrease significantly because Pepsi has many substitutes like Coke and Sprite and etc. And there are some products which do not have close substitute. For example, water does not have close substitutes. Electricity does not have any close substitute. Similarly, some specific medicine for heart and liver, they don't have any substitutes. So when the price of a product increases and that product is having more substitute, people will switch towards the substitute and demand of the original product will decrease significantly. And if the price of a product which does not have so many substitutes, its price increases, people don't have any other option, they will still buying the same product, and we call it that particular product is not having many substitutes, therefore response of demand to change in the price of that particular product will not be significant. So we conclude that if a product is having close substitute, its price elasticity of demand will be more than a product having less substitutes. Thus, the price elasticity of demand of Pepsi will be more than the price elasticity of demand of water. The second factor which determines the price elasticity of demand is the passage of time. This can be explained with 2 examples. Number 1, if price of cigarettes suddenly increase, then smoker needs some time to leave that habit, because if they are habitual smoker and due to sudden increase in the price of cigarettes, they cannot leave that product. As the time passes, they will be able to change their habit. So we shall conclude that as the time passes, with the passage of time, demand of a particular product becomes more and more elastic. The second theoretical justification of this factor, passage of time, is that as the time passes, the consumers are able to find out substitute of that product. Therefore, they will switch towards the substitute. Therefore, if the price of a product increases today, the very next day its demand will not respond. However, over 1 month, demand will be more elastic, and over 3 months and 6 months. And as the time passes, demand will become more and more elastic. Thus, we shall conclude that along with the passage of time, price elasticity of demand of a product increases. After passage of time, the third factor is luxuries versus necessities. Some goods are luxurious goods like tourism, etc., while some goods are necessity goods without which survival is not possible, for example, water, milk, etc. Now, if the price of a luxurious good increases, its demand will respond by more amount than the necessity good. Therefore, the price elasticity of demand of luxurious goods will be much more than the P.E.D of necessity goods. Necessity goods are the goods without which life or survival is not possible, for example, water, shelter, electricity, milk, bread, etc. While luxurious goods are those goods without which life is possible, but because of higher income, people want to get higher utility by use of those products, for example, tourism, hoteling, etc. Therefore, the demand of luxurious product will be much more elastic than the demand of necessity product. Our fourth factor is definition of the market. By market definition, we mean a broad definition of the market or narrow definition of the market. For example, are we talking about the market of Pepsi only, or are we talking about the market of entire cold drink industry? Similarly, a narrow definition of the market is spinning or knitting unit, while the broad definition of market is entire textile sector. Now, if we define the market by broad definition, demand will be more elastic than if we define the the demand of broad will be less elastic than the demand of narrow market. If we talk about the only Pepsi or only Coke, then its demand will be more elastic. If its price increases, demand will react strongly. But if we talk about the entire cold industry market, then demand will become less elastic. Our last factor of determinants of price elasticity of demand is share of a good in a consumer budget. A consumer uses different types of products. For example, he has to pay the rent of his house, he has to pay the education fee of his children, he has to pay for petrol expense, he has to buy grocery, he has to buy some chocolate. Now, every product has a proportion in the income of a consumer. For example, if a consumer pays 30% of his income in the form of rent, we will call that rent has a 30% proportion in the consumer budget. And if a consumer uses 1% of his income on grocery or on chocolate, let's say, we will say that proportion of chocolate in consumer budget is 1%. Now, if the price of chocolate increases, its demand will not react strongly because the proportion of chocolate in the budget of the consumer is very small, less 1% or even less than 1%. However, if the price of petrol increases, because the proportion of petrol in the budget of consumer is significant, like 25% or even more than 25%, then the demand of petrol will react strong to the change in the price of petrol. Similarly, if rent increase, then the demand for houses on rent will decrease because the major proportion of consumer income goes towards the rent. Thus, we conclude that if the share of a good in a consumer budget is small, its price elasticity of demand will be less than that product having share in the consumer budget in a big amount. So, if the share of a good in a consumer budget is high, its demand will be more elastic. And if the share of a good in a consumer budget is very small, like chocolate, its demand will be less elastic. So that's all about the determinants of price elasticity of demand. Thank you very much.